It's June 7th, 2025, and the Sacramento Athletics are in a playoff spot and above 500 at 34 and 28. We were predicted to be the worst team in Major League Baseball. We were supposed to win 62 games. We're already halfway there, not even halfway into the season. So, how did we get here? There's nothing really going on except our players have kind of overachieved, I would say. If we look at the pitching staff, check in first with the injuries. Jesus Garindo came up and was pitching well FIP-wise, 350 FIP, but has strained his biceps. He'll be out for about a month and a half. Sad about that. Kikuchi's going to be back in 2 days. He's missed about 2 weeks. And he has pitched to a 3.14 ERA, FIP lagging behind, but he's outperforming it. A number of guys are getting lucky, which is why I think we're eventually going to come back down to earth, but we're going to ride this high as long as we can. Paul DeYoung was okay at shortstop for us, but post-concussion syndrome again. We got 2 guys on a 60-day IL with that particular injury, and so that has kind of flushed our shortstop position into chaos because Nicky Lopez isn't hitting well in AAA, and we don't have a lot of other guys. And for some reason, Mark Kotze won't play Nick Gordon there, even though he's got the best range on the team. I don't know. But DeYoung, that was a loss to lose him for about 4 months. Anybody else? Esteury Ruiz is out for the next 2 weeks with a fractured thumb. He was on pace to steal another 60 bags. Well, he still is, even though he's been hurt. But the bat is still around an 80 OPS plus and can't really field even in the corners, I guess. So I don't know what I'm going to do with him. He's entering arbitration. Denzel Clark out for 2 weeks. He's been hitting well and been fielding well in center field, but he got hurt, and that sucks because he was starting to put it all together here at 25. But he'll be back in 2 weeks, not like he's over. Let's check in our WAR in order of these guys. So Mason Miller is starting, and he is tearing it up. He's having a great year as a starter, on track to pitch 174 1/3 innings, the most he's ever thrown, I think, in his career, because he kept getting hurt in the minors. If this was real life, he'd be done pitching in a few weeks, but we're not ramping him up. He's 26. He got hurt last year, and he was already fantastic. So he'll ride as a starter, striking out 9.6 guys per 9 as a starter after 13.1 as a reliever. The 75 stuff from him is crazy with that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Never thought you'd see a guy like this in an A's uniform, but he's here, and he's ours for a minute. Sean Newcomb having another, honestly, better than last year, all-star quality season from him out of the pen. Great long relief guy. He's on pace to pitch 97 2/3 innings without starting a game, and an ERA under 1.5 for Newcomb. So I'm glad I hung on to him. He has been worth it so far this season. Obviously, the FIP is lagging behind, so we could see a fall back to earth, but he's still a positive player if that's the case. Garrett Clevenger, same kind of story, although the FIP is way better for him. He is pitching out of the specialist role, so he's only going every so often, but with the 3-batter minimum, he's still pitching more than old loogies of the past, and I don't really think he's a loogie. I think he's one of the best relievers on our team, and he's showing that with an ERA under 0.5, 8.91 ERA plus right now for Garrett Clevenger. Waiver claim addition. Another addition, Huascar Ynoa. Good season out of the pen for him as well. 2.5 ERA, pretty good. J.P. Sears, second starter here on the list. But, of course, Kikuchi would be there ahead of him. But Sears putting together another decent year. FIP kind of staying the same as it was last year, but he's getting the completely opposite result. A lot more luck for Sears this year. Paul Blackburn, steady Eddie for us. He'll be a free agent next season, and if he wants a 1-year deal to come back, I'll entertain him, depending on what our rotation looks like, because just a guy that eats up, 150 innings if we can get him to. He's never actually pitched that in his career. So But if he can do that this year, that'd be cool. Colin Ray is pitching better underlyingly than he is ERA-wise. I'm a bit surprised at the 8.8 Ks per 9, but he hit that number or was close to it last year, even though he's got 45 stuff. Combine that with a guy who doesn't walk many batters, even though a little bit of walk issues for him as a supposed control artist. I don't know. He's getting results, so I'm happy about him for $1 million. Owen White, still not as successful as I would like. I'd really like him to slide into one of those roles I hope he could replace Blackburn next year or replace Ray, depending on where they go. But it's not all coming together for him, and maybe he's got to be a starter for that to happen. Noragumi Matsumoto is pitching well in his first season in the bigs. He's getting a lot of work out of the pen as a long man, along with Newcomb as a kind of a platoon in that role. Newcomb more of a middle relief guy, though. Clark Schmidt, I just called up. He has been on fire in AAA, 134 ERA plus. So he slots in right now as the fifth starter, but that's with Kikuchi out for 2 days. We'll see what happens when we bring him back and who we have to move to AAA because he's out of options, and I'm not sure I want to waive him, but I thought he was ready to go. This is a pretty decent skill set. Anthony Maldonado, I claimed off waivers just after opening day. 13.5 ERA in 3 innings, so he's almost lost a win for us, but the FIP shows that that's kind of a mirage. And right now he's slotted in as the closer, which I think makes sense. He's the best overall reliever for that role, I think. Ian Seymour having a rough go of it, 7.12 ERA in 24 innings. I just don't want to cut him because he's a Rule 5 guy, and you will see why when I show you our Rule 5 pick from last year in a second, what he's doing this year after I got rid of him. Joe Boyle, same story as Maldonado. He's a pretty good pitcher, but just really unlucky. And these 3 guys are kind of absorbing the brunt of the lack of luck our pitchers are facing, because all these guys are pretty lucky, and it doesn't make any sense because we're a bottom-tier American League defense with the issues we've had at shortstop and center field with Henry Bolte. Said Bolt before, it's Bolte. I watched a clip of him. Hit a home run in Stockton, but he's awful in center field. But he's the only guy that can step in for Denzel Clark while he's out. Lawrence Butler could, but I guess he doesn't want to, and he's already faltering in right field. So Bolte's up. He's actually hitting decently well for a 21-year-old, but he can't field, so it's tough. But he's ready to go right now. He wants to play. He wants to be on the bench at least. And his kind of meteoric rise through the minors has culminated in a cup of coffee and probably more than that, a full breakfast for Bolte. On the lineup side, Nick Gordon has been our team MVP. He's cooled off a little bit with the bat, but it feels like, in any out-of-the-park save, this guy kind of just goes off. Playing really good defense at second base. Good. He's rebounding here in June so far after a tough May, after a MVP level April to open the year. He just does everything for us. Little bit of power on base, not as much, but with his average it comes through. And then stealing bases, knocking in doubles. So he has been a great addition. And even though we traded Kyle Mueller, who's actually having a fantastic season as a lefty starter for Miami, pitching a starter's workload with an ERA at 3.5, Gordon is offsetting that. And Mueller was a guy we were going to get rid of anyways, so happy to have Gordon here doing what he's doing. Matt Mervis slotted in at third with the problems with Zach Jaloff. Is hitting like an all-star, and kind of our J.D. Davis this year, a semi-platoon player that just hits well in the opportunities that he's given. The strikeout percentage is a little higher than I'd like, but he is producing and happy for him. Rob Refsnyder was a good pickup by me to get the righty platoon outfielder. If I look at left v right splits, he is mashing left-handed pitching, and faltering a little bit against right-handed pitching. But all of his production's coming against lefties, and that's what we wanted. These ratings are great. If he could put it together to be an average hitter against righties, he'd be a really valuable player. But right now, in half the playing time, he's already going to be a starter, an average starter level player. Connor Wong, big bounce back season for him. He's getting about half the plate appearances, but far cry from the negative 1.3 that he WAR that he had in his final year in Boston. Cut down on the strikes, cut down on the walks a little bit, but just putting the ball in play, his BABIP 100 points higher than before, which runs with, I think, his career average here. Yeah, he's about a 327 BABIP guy, so it was way low last year. Maybe he's closer to a league average hitter, but we'll take the luck we're getting with him from the backup catcher spot. Even still, we called up Tyler Soderstrom, who's going to play at first base right now, with how Wong is doing at catcher, and Soderstrom really can't play catcher anyways. He bumped Mervis over to third Mervis also DHs, because for some reason Mervis just wasn't in the lineup, and I wasn't gonna have that. I might move him back to first, depending on what we do here at the deadline, because we do need a right-handed third baseman pretty badly, with Jaloff really just falling off. I'll go to him immediately, like bad. He was like this in the early season last year. He's got a bad personality class. He's unhappy, even though he is starting. So I don't know what to do with him. I'll probably end up trading him, if I'm being honest, if he has any value. Brian Buelvis I called up to be a righty outfielder. He would take Ref Snyder's spot if he does well this year. He's a leader, good work ethic for the 22-year-old. Talked about Bolte. Kevin Biggio has come up for a bit here as a captain. I DFA'd Donovan Walton, so Biggio was, I think, needed. Darryl Hernandez was playing shortstop instead of Gordon, and he is right now, I guess, playing shortstop, and I don't really like that very much for him, especially this being his first real extended opportunity in the bigs, but he's hitting close to league average, and this contact comes up a little bit more, he's ready to go. I think that our scout finds him to be a average major leaguer, could be an everyday starter at second, so we'll hope that development continues and we're not stunting him too much by playing him at short here. But every time that I tried to put Gordon there, and I don't want to force start him because he's having such a good year, and if he gets upset that he's playing bad at shortstop, that's a bigger deal for us because we are in a playoff spot. Miguel Vargas is starting to hit well. He started off really slow, and hopefully this average continues to creep up. His BABIP has been like deadly low in his time in our organization, so if that can come up, he can be a contributor, maybe just on the right side of a platoon, but I'd like to see it from him. Langoliers was hitting well, and then had this awful month of May where he hit for a 28 OPS plus, negative .5 WAR. He was on pace for what he did last year, and then he just cratered out, but hopefully he stabilizes and gets better. And then Lawrence Butler also started out white hot. Actually, I think that he had like 50 plate appearances in April where he was up to like a 170 OPS plus, but I think the slump continued from April to May, and now he's bouncing back here in June, so hopefully that continues for him. He is one of our future players here, and that's about it on this end. I think at the trade deadline next month, we're going to try and find a third baseman, and then any like proven outfield bat we can. Blade and Noda are hitting well in AAA, but they just continue to not do it in the majors, so I'm not entirely confident in bringing them up. Other than that, Jacob Wilson could be brought up, but I have so many righty infielders as it is, Suzak has been playing well in Double A, back up or up now to Triple A. Suli Matias, I purchased from the what league? Sussex County Miners are in the Frontier League. So I purchased him from there, and I also purchased, or no, he's hurt, Hoshihito Furutani. So I ended up getting all three of those Japanese, or all the two Japanese players and the Cuban player anyways, even though I said I wasn't, just because nobody wanted him. I just purchased him for $250,000. Anybody could have done it. Anybody could have signed him initially. He is a 65 arm third baseman. Like, he's capable there, so he might be the guy I put in and not need to trade for anyone at the deadline. And then by the time maybe he is coming in, Moncada comes up in 2 months. Like, I don't want to surrender any serious prospect capital because we're not winning the championship this year. We don't have it. I don't think. Like I said, I think we're gonna start to lose some games, but our Pythagorean is there. I just think we're getting lucky on the pitching side, and then you got like real teams nipping at our heels. Maybe not Kansas City, but the Yankees and the Rays definitely are. But the American League underperforming as a whole. We're outpacing the division. The Mariners will win it, but we still have a serious shot. As we look to the draft, I won't do the draft in a video, but I do want to show my draft board. It's not very deep this year. Ethan Holiday will go before we come up. I guess I can look at the mock draft. Holiday, the brother of Jackson, son of Matt, is a surefire guy. We got bumped down from 3rd to 5th in the lottery. They have us taking Jack McKernan, who is a good player, but we took a high school starter last year, and he's still doing okay, but I just don't really want to do it again. His potential's dropped to 45 from 65. He still, I think, is capable of making the jump, but it's a big risk. He does only want slot, though. But Cam Canarella, I think, is the guy we're going to take if he gets to us from Clemson. These tools are good. I don't know. He might not be a major league center fielder, but if this comes along, that's like a Corbin Carroll corner outfield guy. And that's a good player. He's got high work ethic. $7 million's a lot for us, but I think at 5th we got to get a guy who can get up here pretty quick if we're already challenging to be a playoff team. So besides him, Wehiwa Aloy, I wouldn't take him. Brady Ebel, Ethan Petrie, no. But that about does it for this. I think I'll be back after the draft, before the trade deadline, for the next video. And we'll see if we stay over 500. See ya.